Hello everyone. Today we're going to learn together how to light up these Kato Amtrak cars to make them go from this to this. So today we're going to turn these cars, these simple Amtrak Kato cars, from plain to exciting with lighting. First thing we're going to do is open the car up. It's pretty simple. You just pry one side very lightly open and then the other side, and it should just clip out like this. Don't worry about the direction of the shell and the parts because there's little arrows. Kato was nice enough to put little arrows on here. I don't know if you can see this with the lighting, but at the end here, there's a little arrow in the car and also in the shell. So right there. Will it focus right there? And there's also one underneath this. And yes, we're going to have to remove the plastic piece here. So technically, we don't need any tools to do this. There's some that makes it easier. I like these very fine needle nose pliers, these tweezers. I have this wire cutter and this wire stripper. Again, you don't need any of this, it's just, it makes it easier. First thing we're going to do after removing this, so second thing, is remove the plastic inside of the car. There's four little clips on each side. You just need to undo one side and the other one's going to pop off automatically. So I put just a nail on one side and push with something else on the clip on top, and it unclips and gives a gap like this. I don't know if the focus is right. Will it focus? Right there. So, sorry if it's all out of focus. I'm not used to do this on camera. Then, you're going to do this for all four of them. 2, 3, right, third one right here. And popped out. Fourth and last, right here. And there you go. You heard a click. And it's going to pop up on the side and you can remove it. Here inside you can see, I'm just going to hold everything in place. There's also an arrow on the car, which is right here. I don't know if you're going to see it with the focus and the light. But there's an arrow in there. Trust me, if you'd had the car with you, you'd see it right there. There's two sides and there's on any. The weight itself doesn't seem to have any impact on the direction, but I just leave it that way. There's nothing that makes, that forces the shape on it, but keeping it the same side as it was from Kato is probably the best. So next, you're gonna take one LED, like this. I bought these on Amazon. It's a 50 pack for $12 Canadian of 9 to 12 volt 3 millimeters pre-wired LEDs. This is why you don't need solder, because it's already wired for you and everything. There's a little resistor included, so technically, like every LED, this is a 3 volt LED, but there's a resistor integrated that makes it work with 9 to 12 volts, which most DC/DCC N scale system will definitely work with 9 to 12 volts. My power supply goes up to 15 volts, which is because it's a DC power system, but I never put it to 100% because I don't like my trains going too fast, so it's safe. But Kato power system is 12 volt max, and most DCC system is also 12 volts, so you'd be safe for both. The only downside right now is that these are directional, like the positive and negative has to be this way. So on my DC system, I set it so it always lights up when the train goes forward. If you have a DCC system, depending on your wiring, you might need a power rectifier, or you might need a power rectifier even on a DC if you wanted it to be lit both ways. I don't have one, and that would require some soldering. So if you're like me, you're cheap and you just want something that lights most of the time, just the LEDs will be fine. All right, so what I usually do is use the interior here to actually hold the LED in place. On my layout, the red is going to be on this side for the power for it to turn on when it goes forward. But for the pattern I do with the wiring, I put it on the other side, and you'll see why it makes sense later. So you just insert it like this, and then this section right here, I don't know if you can see well, this section right here has is more solid metal than wires. We're gonna use that, we're gonna bend that, and that's what's gonna hold the LED in place. So I bend it, I put it in here like this, and bend one this way and the other one the other way. And yes, it's gonna be tight. Yes, it's gonna feel like you're about to break something, but you're not. It's just gonna be tight, and that's what holds the LED in place. As you can see, it's already mostly holding it there, like it's not falling, it's there. Then I measure the length by just wrapping it around like this and have the wire come down. We need about, I don't know, half a centimeter / a quarter inch, depending on where you're from. Wait, for focus. Sorry about that, guys. I'm learning about this. So it needs to go about halfway to the middle of the, like halfway of the width of the car. So if you cut it here, and I use my trusty wire cutters, but again, regular scissors would work if you don't have wire cutters. Just your cut might not be super clean, but that's completely fine. I'll just do the other side because it's, and cut here like this. There you go. These wire, I keep them, I'm cheap, and they're always useful, they're still good. If I do have a soldering iron, that's the joke. I'm showing off how you don't need one, and I do have one. I'm just not great at it, and if I can avoid it, I will. Plus, soldering near plastic means I'm probably gonna melt something I like. So this is gonna avoid me from melting these beautiful cars, which some people might disagree because they'll think these are basic cars, but I'd rather something that goes well than something that's super detailed. That's an opinion. Don't come at me. Or do. I'm not going to do anything about it. It's the internet, right? So then we're going to, again, you don't need wire strippers. I just like them. We're going to strip the wires to actually above this plastic tab. Because if you do it underneath, you won't be able to clip it all back in one piece. You need it to be above, because just the copper, it'll go fine without an issue, but with the rubber, it's not. So this, I'm probably going to have to do it off camera. I'm never going to be able to do it on camera, so just give me a sec. So if I say the bend is here, a trick, since the wire keeps the bend, you can actually like unbend everything and just go with the bend, like about 3 millimeters above the last bend. The bend was outside here, so if you're above it, even though it's going to be inside, it's going to be fine. So about 3 millimeters, and so that's here. Rip it off. And yeah, this wire is really long. You don't need that much longer. I just rather have too long of a wire and shorten it than not have enough wire and then actually have to redo everything. So this is clearly too long, but that's fine. Like I said, I'm gonna trim it later. Now let's do the other wire, the black one. Like this, right here, and strip. Like I said, you don't need wire strippers for this, it's just easier. So next step, we're gonna pass these copper pieces through these little holes on each side. Remember, even though I made it go here, the red's gonna go this side and the black's gonna go this side with the seat facing that, like, this way. So give me a sec there, I'm just gonna do it. I usually twist the copper part of the wires so that it stays together when you go through the plastic. Another thing that you don't have to, but it helps. If you already have another technique, use your technique. Everybody's used to their own technique. It's almost muscle memory after a while. It's just the one I'm used to. So I'm gonna push the black wire through the little tab hole. And I missed it. Damn you, depth perception or lack of said depth perception. There you go. One in. Now. So what I usually do to keep the wire in while it's out of the way but not, loose, is I bend it upward. It's not going to be the final shape, but it keeps the wire in place. So move this one here, go above every other wire, press down on everything to stay under this height, twist the copper part. I don't know if you guys can see it all. I'm gonna have to check it out and edit and probably cut half of this in editing. Okay, so it's all through. Good enough. I know it's Kevin's tiny trains, but this could have been Kevin's good enough trains. All right, so that's tight in there. That's great. Everything's tucked in pretty tight. All right, so this is where the little arrow was important. This one is easy because the seats are facing the front. You just need to make sure that the car is facing the front. Yes, the car is facing the front. What I usually do is these wires, I push them towards the inside and bend it so it makes a U shape, or you could say a C shape because it's not towards up, it's towards the side. So I'll just bend both and show you the result actually. Like this. So can you guys see? Not all. Okay, so you can see the shape of this one. Both have this shape. You might have to check that your wires are pressed in from the top, but they both have this shape. You kind of can see it. Yeah, you can see it there. So what you're gonna do is make sure that the car's directionality is the proper one, and you're gonna slide. Oh, this is gonna be complicated to show. You're gonna slide your wires under the little metal bands. If they come out, no problem. I'll actually take one out without having the car out. It's just slid in. I'm gonna hate myself for doing this, but I want to show you guys. It's just slid in. You're not breaking anything by removing it. All you have to do, it's not time consuming, but it's annoying to do, but it's fine. You're gonna slide one side too much, then you're gonna push on this side so that it enters the other side while keeping it down, and voila, it's back in. If you want to make sure it's properly in, move the truck aside, and if you see you don't see it very well here and you see it too much here, that means it's too much to one side. Just push on it on this side with anything and it's gonna clip in and boom, it's back in. It's that simple. So you're not gonna break anything if it pops out. It's just annoying to put back in. Sorry for my big hand. That's another reason why I'm showing this method, is because not everyone has tiny hands to work on N scale. So if I can do it with my gigantic hands, which is bigger than the whole 85-foot car, most people should be able to do it with whatever size hands they have. It's gonna take some time. Don't get me wrong. You will need patience and you will need a few times. This is my fourth car I'm doing, and while the first two cars were much harder to do because I didn't know what to do. So at least now it's just the technique, not figuring it out. That's complicated. That I have to do. So you're gonna, like I said, slide in. I don't know if you guys see this. So see the copper sticking out? You're gonna slide it under the uh, the copper flat piece that Kato has, and usually if you go sideways, it'll slide easier underneath. Did it work? Yes, it did. Both are in. You're gonna slide the car, the top of the, no, not the top, but the interior of the car where it should clip, and once it reaches, it should just clip. Okay, so this might happen. No worries. It's just the weight that came out. You can literally just swing it back in by pushing the other way, and it'll be fine. So actually, this is a good example. As you can see, while sliding this in, this came out. That is fine. That is fixable. What I usually do when this happens is actually clip the car interior first before fixing, but I only clip one side. This plastic is soft enough to, it's soft enough to flex to fix this thing while still being able to hold the rest in place. So you just clip it in. So I've only clipped these two clips. That's perfect. This is going to hold the cables in place without preventing me from fixing the rest. So what you're going to, so as you can see, this one is over to the other side. It's completely wrong, but I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll check on the camera. They're both out, like they're not where they should be. That's fine. Align them as best you can. You'll have to do one at a time. You can't do both at the same time. So we're gonna do the worst one first because I'll be out of the way. See how I aligned it, but it's not pushed in? That's fine, that's normal. Put it like this, and then from, I'm gonna turn it around. It's much harder with the camera on. From this side, I'm gonna push on it from the underneath of the car, and I can't see much because I'm doing it on camera. So that's the method, is you're gonna align it from the top, and once it's aligned, you're gonna push it from the underneath on the other side. I'm gonna have to stop the camera to do it off camera because it's a little more complicated. All right, so now it's fixed. They're in like this, the weight is in. So all that you have to do once they are in is clip them. I like to go from the back towards the front, simply because it keeps it in a line. And I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little bit of cable residue sticking out on each side. That's fine. Like I said, you can cut it. You could technically leave it, it's just not clean. This. Just a fair warning to everyone. Technically, if the wire would touch the weight, which there's a plastic divider between the metal rails where we connected the wiring to, well, the LEDs and the weight. But if your wires overlap and touches it, it will create a short. Do not worry about it. Just test it first. If you see a short, remove it right away. Open it back up and just put some electric tape on the weight, and you'll be fine. So now all you have to do is just make sure that your shell is pointing the right direction with the arrow inside the shell. You can't see it because of lack of lighting, and the seats are forward and or the arrow on the car interior, and you just close it and you're ready to go. I personally prefer to test it before closing the shell, simply out of habit, and just I don't want to say jinxing it, but there's when I build computers, there's this thing where if you're gonna close the case before you test it, it's not gonna work, but if you don't close it, it's gonna work. Same reason here. because it's simpler to reopen when it's already open. It's gonna be fine, but if you didn't, it's not gonna be fine. So I'll go test it out right now and then close the shell and show you guys. All right, so moment of truth. Let's put the car. Oh, I saw some light flashing. That's usually a good sign. And is it on the rail? Yeah. Okay, so this is why some people, well, most people use keep alives, because keep alives are a little capacitor that prevents it from blinking if the track is either dirty or the wheel or the contact or something's not great. As you can see, some of the cars are more stable than other. You can play a bit with the wiring. I've noticed that it does make a difference, but you can only do so much as well. This is where soldering would solve the issue, but it's really your guys' call if you want to do it or not. I'm actually going to go ahead and just play with the wiring and make it work on my side, because I'm going to melt the plastic if I try to solder this. So I'll be right back. And there you go. It lights up all the cars. So these two last ones are not made the same way. The wiring is a little different in there and it lights up different. But these three are AM coaches. This was an AM cafe, and this is I think a viewliner. I'm not sure of the name. It's a double stacker, but yep, it works pretty well. I'm really happy with this. As you can see, since there's only one LED on one side, it only lights up it's more lit that side, but you can still see light throughout the entire car, even at the end of the car. So, and it lights up pretty good around, like on the bridge and around it. So let's do a few laps. Let's go. As you can see, it's blinking. That's because I don't have any keep alives in there. But they light up. And they light up everything around them when they're not blinking. Of course, it's the one I did on camera that's blinking the most, but that's fine. I think it looks pretty sweet. I really like it. It really brings a lot of life into the car and the whole layout. And yeah, so again, the only thing is, since I don't have a power rectifier, when I reverse, none of them light up, and that's perfectly normal. You would need a power rectifier for this. But it was $12 Canadian for the 50 pack and no special tools. I think this is a pretty sweet result. Small update, after 3 to 4 days of having it, it seems that the flicker was mostly due to dirty contacts, because it's basically flicker free. Like, it still flickers once in a while, but that's normal. But it's basically flicker free. So it's very smooth and very bright, which is what I like. Might not be for everyone, but for me, this is exactly what I wanted for a goal. And as you can see, yeah, because there's only one LED, it's brighter on one side than the other, but it's fully lit across the board. It really adds a presence. The camera doesn't do it justice, but it really, like, it lights up everything around the train. Like, it makes you see the scenery in the dark, and it adds so much life to your, like, so much life and so much I don't know, presence to your train, to your whole layout, not just the train. It's next level realistic, next level beautiful. It allows you also to see the details inside the car, because the manufacturers, not just Kato, put so much effort into making interiors for these cars, and you barely see them when it's bright outside, and as soon as it's dark, you don't see it at all. This, you can see it even, like, maybe not on camera, but in person, you can see the inside of the car. A better example, this one I'm not going to do a tutorial on because this is a lot more complicated. If I do, it's going to be later. But this car, I don't know if you see my finger. I power this a lot more complicated, but this is a Concours car with full interior, and you can see the seat, you can see the little red light at the end. Like, it's a lot more complex. On the other side, you can see the rooms. It's really, really bringing a lot of life and a lot of details out. So I highly recommend. And don't be afraid of the flicker. Use your train for like a week, and most of the flicker will be gone. For the Kato cars, because it's probably just the contacts that are dirty. Alright, so have a good one. Leave a comment if you have other solution, other ways to do this, or just simply have ideas for what I should do next. And have a good one.